create this flower here using the gradient tool. So first of all, you want to select your ellipse tool and you want to create a circle. Now if you want to create an even circle, you can hold down Option or Alt and also Shift, and it will produce a nice looking circle. Now we're actually going to work with the the stroke instead of the fill for this tutorial. And I'm just going to change this. So we are going to go up to our stroke panel. We are going to select a very large stroke, so 60. So then you've got a donut looking shape. Now, instead of all the way around, we are going to create this width profile 1 on the stroke. So it lets us have one skinny side and one fatter side on the top. So then we're rotating it around, so we've got a shape that looks something like this. We're then going to use the direct selection tool, and you're going to move the top and bottom points of the circle to produce a flat bottom tiered drop shape. So I'm just going to get my anchor point here, click it, drag it upwards, oops, it's a little bit wonky, drag it upwards like so. And then I'm also going to create a flat bottom, so we want to click the little anchor point down the bottom and create a shape that looks like this. You can also use your arrow keys, nudging upwards, or use your mouse or pen to pull upwards like I just did. I might actually even change that point to 80, I think, just so it's a little bit thicker. Now we're going to make sure we've got our selection tool, and we're going to squish our shape inwards to create a petal shape like this. There we go. So we should end up with a shape that looks something like a little black teardrop. Now this is where the fun part begins. We are going to use the swatch panel and our gradient panel tools to create a pretty looking flower. So I've already created this gradient here, but you won't have this on yours. So you probably have the default gold dust. So I'm just going to select the gold dust from my gradient panel tool. Now, if you don't have this gradient panel up, you need to go to Window and make sure that gradient is ticked. You also need to have your swatch panel up, so you need to, same deal, so you need to go Window and then Swatches, making sure that's also ticked. Now, the gradient panel works like this, so you can move it backwards and forwards depending on how much colour you want in. This little dot here actually changes the gradient in terms of opacity. So you can see where the location of the gradient, it changes as you pull that upwards. Now if you don't want any of these colours in this gradient panel, you can just select them and just drag them out, and it'll drop and drag your gradients out. Now from your swatch panel, you simply just want to choose whatever colour you want for your stroke width and drop it on your gradient panel. So you need to make sure that you're grabbing and dragging the swatch colour and dropping it in this little slider here. Now I'm going to make the bottom of I want to make the middle of my flower quite dark. So I'm just going to grab a few of these darker tones and make sure that they are in the right place on my gradient slider. As you can see, you can have a bit of a play around with the colour if you like. You also don't have to make this colour petal. You can make a green petal or you can make a blue petal. It doesn't really matter, it's just getting us familiar with the gradient tool. Now after we've chosen our gradients, we want to play around with where the gradient is coming from. So to do this, we want to make sure that we have this selected on linear and then we want to create the stroke, apply gradient across stroke. And that'll make sure that our gradient, our darker gradient, is in the middle. Now you can still alter this gradient as you're going along, just by sliding those around like so. And once you've got a colour scheme that you're happy with, I'm pretty happy with that. We then, actually, I might even add a little bit of black into the bottom, into the middle. I think I'm quite happy with that. Now we can always change the shape of our petal too. So we can go to this convert and convert Solenka anchor points to corner, remember? So we can change that according to how we want our petal shape. I'm just going to leave my petal like this for now. You can always change it as well, so we can squish it up a little bit more if we want. Oops. There we go. Now because I want 6 petals, instead of just copy and pasting these around 6 times and rotating them, we're actually going to use the appearance toolbar. So it'll either be a sun on your toolbar, or you'll have to go window and select appearance. We're going to go down to this little thing here that says add new effect. We're going to go distort and transform, and then we're going to go transform. Now from this transform effect, because we want our petals going on a 60-degree angle, we're going to change this to 60 degrees, and you can see that angle there. So it's going to rotate the petal as many times as you choose the copies on that 60-degree angle. So I'm going to say 5 copies. You can also press preview to see what it's looking like. Obviously we don't want it looking like that. So we need to go down to this little square section here and choose which direction, which petal we want to rotate around. So I'm going to choose this bottom square there, and then produces our flower. So then we're just going to press OK. Now we've got a flower to work with.